Rock stars. There's literally nothing like those wild parties. All I did was drink and party and go to rock concerts. So I got VIP access to a certain very hot rock star's room.
This was getting a little intense for my liking.
What's your problem?
Okay.
Look, bitch, I don't know who the fuck you think you are, but you're no better than the rest of us.
Hey, come on, you gotta go. I'll call you.
Hey, what would you say if I were to tell you that rock stars like Terry would pay for your attention and you would be a multi-millionaire because of it?
Hey everyone, it's your girl Catherine Nunez, and you're watching Real Talk with the director and the counsel on the IE Network.
Real Talk.
Hey, I'm Gina Lou, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's up? It's Logan Browning, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Real Talk.
Hi, this is Alana De La Garza, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, I'm Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. You're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, this is Monique Capri, and you are watching Real Talk with the Director on Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, I'm Stormy Maya, and you are listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
This is Vicky Judy, Orange is the New Black, and I'm here with Real Talk.
Yo, what up? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio. Keep it locked.
Hi, I'm Trina Parks. You are listening to Real Talk Radio with the Director. Hey, I'm Issa Rae, and you're watching Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Nothing less. What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I know my lighting's still crazy. I'm in my temporary studio at the moment. I'll probably be set up next week for sure. Real Talk brought to you every Monday by B2S Media. We broadcast live via the World Wide Web on youtube.com/IE Network TV on the IE Network. Don't forget to go in, like and subscribe, hit the like button, even put the little notification if you want to know when we're coming on again. We also broadcast, of course, Facebook, the social network, aka Meta, and Twitter. They're no longer about to be bought by Elon Musk's Twitter. So today again, another Monday, the 1st of August. August 1st, boy, the year is flying by. Shout out to everybody out there, all of the Leo. It's Leo season. Shout out to the Leos. It's been Leo season. But yeah, man, we're back again. Unfortunately, we got some so-called fans, we'll talk about that, who's allegedly planning to boycott the Black Panther Part 2 movie, Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that nonsense. Also, of course, we still have our tournament. We've been kind of worked out the details last week. And I think this week we can start talking about the seeding and make our final prediction, final things together and get started on the tournament. That's the tournament for the hottest woman on television in television history. I don't remember it. I don't have an official name for it. Just call it the hottest woman in television history tournament. Field of 64, battling it out all the way to the number one. And we'll go from there. We'll see how that works out this week. Weekend recap brought to you by BoxOfficeMojo.com. Number 5, Top Gun Maverick still made $8.4 million. This is for the weekend of July 29th through the 31st. Top Gun Maverick, million still, which brings the overall earnings to $1.32 billion. Number 4 on this is Minions: The Rise of Gru, 11 million, bringing that total to 712 million. Wow, Minions did it on some, kind of did it on the low. 700 mil, not bad worldwide, pretty good. Then we have Thor: Love and Thunder, 13.2 million, bringing the worldwide total. Wow, Minions is beating Thor: Love and Thunder. Worldwide total of 663 million. Then we have number 2, Nope. 18.6 million this weekend. That's the Jordan Peele thriller horror. And that is at it's only been, it hasn't gone international. So it's at 80 million, 80.6 million worldwide. And number 1 on this list for this week is DC League of Super Pets. That's starring The Rock and Kevin Hart. Well, that's 2 reasons right there why people are gonna go see it. But this is for the kids, man. So right now, they came in for their first weekend. And it's only been released for 3 days. It made 41 million worldwide, and changed 23 million domestic. So that was since it opened. Warner Brothers, of course, distributed, and that is your weekend recap brought to you by BoxOfficeMojo.com. So yeah, I got my Jedi Council with me. I'm gonna bring them in a second. Matter of fact, one. There's the second. Here they come. Ralph.
Wow.
Yeah,
hello everybody. What's going on?
I'm like, why? No need to drag it out like
second.
I usually do. Yeah,
that was a faster than fast second.
I was like, one. Here we go. What's going on, man? So, it's. I hate, some of the stuff that we were talking about last week, I didn't get to because, some of the stuff at San Diego Comic-Con, since we did just mention DC Super Pets. So I am going to quickly go over from last week that I didn't do. Some of the stuff we talked about, and we didn't talk about, where DC actually did have a Hall H showing, and it was really just of they showed the trailer for Shazam Part 2, The Fury of the Gods, and they showed a trailer for Black Adam. That's pretty much was their showing. And they actually, kind of between that panel of Jim Lee was doing a panel during Comic-Con, and someone asked him about because there was a big rumor that Henry Cavill was going to show up, and everybody once again was pumped up, and Warner Brothers lets us down once again, or lets the people down. I didn't even get pumped up behind it because I was just like, I said, I don't know. You can't, like Ralph always said, you can't trust Warner Brothers. You just can't. I mean, it's just great. So he never showed up because they never was going to, they must not have had plans to recast him as Superman. I mean, the bottom line is most of the fans know that he is one of the bright spots. Well, let's just put it this way. I'm not speaking as a fan myself. I'm speaking as the fans that had their doubts with DC, and the ones that hate on it, and even the ones that don't like Zack Snyder, they still liked Henry Cavill as Superman. He was like the bright spot, the one. He was like that one thing that pretty much everybody kind of liked. Now, of course, you had your haters that the Superman, it's a bird, it's a plane, garbage. You had them, but other than that, though, come on, they love Cavill, and I don't know why they waiting on recasting this guy. He's definitely, some Kev has said it a million times. He thinks it's the best Superman. Some people say he is, and some if they don't say he is the best Superman, they say he's the second best Super. He's after because the beloved Christopher Reeves, rest in peace. Christopher Reeve. That's what it is. It's Reeve because it was George Reeves. It's Christopher Reeve, right? Was that backwards? I don't know. Anyway, other than after the beloved Christopher Reeves, some people like him, as their next Superman, and some like him as the same deal. People get that with their favorites as a Batman. See, it's more with Batman because it was more people that played Batman, and ironically, if you count the TV series, there's probably more people that played Superman, or it's even if you count the Superman TV shows, because you had the first guy, right? Then I forget his name. Then you had George Reeves. There was a guy before George Reeves. Then you had George Reeves. Then I guess after that's Christopher Reeve. Then you had, like I said, if you count the TV shows, after Christopher Reeves, you got Dean Cain played him on TV. Then you had wow, I can't think of his name. Smallville guy, I forget his name.
Welland, right? Tori Welland?
Yeah, Welland, Tom Welland. That's what's that, 4 or 5 that I just said right there. Reeves. I mean, the first guy, Reeves, Welling, and that's 5, and Dean Cain. Then there's a guy playing him now on the new Lois and Superman and Lois. That's 6 right there. And then you got
that's Superman and Lois is new? That show?
It's kind of new, yeah. It's like in the last few years. Like maybe it came on while the Arrowverse was still going, but that's when it might be about in its maybe 3rd or 4th season.
Well, yeah,
So you got that, and then I think he's the same guy who plays. I think it's the same guy who plays Superman in Supergirl. Like when Supergirl's show, the one who played him, I think he got his own show in this one. So that's like 6, and then you got to count my man from Superman Returns. Can't think of his name right now.
Which is another good Superman.
That's 7, and then Henry Cavill. That's 8.
The best Superman of all Supermans to ever exist. The Superman, as a matter of fact, since Henry Cavill was
I don't know about that part.
I know about that part.
Henry Cavill, man, I love him. Here's the deal. I'm gonna always love Christopher Reeve, right? It's just like what do we always say? We're like, oh, so and so is always gonna be, whatever. I'm always gonna love Christopher Reeve, but I obviously loved Cavill's movie and story better. I just did, it resonated better with me than
I grew up on Christopher Reeve. I saw both Superman. Well, actually, the first Superman movie I actually saw on TV on Channel 7. And then I saw the second movie at the theater with my mom. And still, even with that nostalgia, that me and my whole family sitting around a brand new color TV in our living room with the swivel base, because I remember when we got the TV, when Superman the movie first came on TV, and the whole family was sitting around that Sunday night watching it. Even with that under my belt and in my memory banks as nostalgia, Henry Cavill is still the best Superman ever.
For me, it's like, I take them for what they are because, yes, of course, it's just like with anything, it's gonna resonate with the generations and stuff like that. But like I said, I Superman 2 is my favorite Superman movie, and I loved it because I liked the fact that that was the first time I ever saw him fight a super powered being. But even though Superman 2 is my favorite Superman film from that era, Man of Steel I like even better than that because I was able to see. I don't know. I don't know. It just felt I'm from that era and I'm living in this era, and it's not the technology. It's not that. The story to me was. I mean, it's the same story. It's his origin story.
Listen,
So it's just more detailed. But I still love Superman 2 because I love the fact that what I loved about Superman 2 and the story of it. Now that I think about it, I'm like they're like 1 and 1A right now. Because now that I think about it, because what I love about the story of Superman 2 is that he took away his powers, and we had a chance to see him without his powers and how he vulnerable, how he would handle himself. And I'm sorry, the best part is when he comes back at the end and goes after the bully.
And he's the first Superman. He's the first Superman besides Henry Cavill's Superman that actually killed the villains, because he killed everybody. And the thing that I love about both of them is
Christopher didn't kill the villains. They fell down the Fortress of Solitude for.
Well, he threw Zod.
He did throw Zod, but he didn't kill him. He didn't kill him.
How do you know?
They fell down that in the Fortress of Solitude. You don't know.
How do you know he didn't kill him? They didn't really specify one way or another. Where the hell did they fall?
Zod was screaming when he hit the wall and fell into the ice. He was still screaming, so he couldn't have been dead.
But Ralph, here's the thing you're forgetting. What was the one thing that Superman did before he killed them?
He didn't kill them.
He took away
their powers.
He took away
their powers, so they were human.
Normal beings.
They were human. They weren't even. They weren't even. That's a great This is a whole nother show, Kev. You done effed me up right now by saying that. But this is a whole nother show. Because
I apologize, but what I'm saying is factual.
No, we can debate this.
Go back and look at
great.
it. He did not.
I'm on the fence with it because that's the same. This is almost the same thing as saying, well, didn't Batman? You say Batman don't kill. Didn't Michael Keaton's Batman kill the Joker? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes,
he shot the thing around his. He shot the thing, and that was revenge when he figured out that Joker killed his parents.
The parents,
right? But yet Batman doesn't kill, and everybody talks about that, right? But they love Michael Keaton's Batman, like we all do. But they seriously forget, because it wasn't graphic, the things that, or when he's shooting Joker's minions with his Gatling gun from the Batmobile, and stuff like that. So because it's not graphic, or if someone, like the one guy, he put the bomb on him and threw him off screen. He blew up off screen. He was still dead.
And so like I said, with that being said, Superman stripped all three of them of their powers and then dismantled them one at a time. They were
he threw Zod.
At that point, they were no longer Kryptonians. They turned.
Well, they were Kryptonians with no powers. They was powerless.
And so they got
told. Where did they? I mean, shoot, they probably couldn't even survive very long at the North Pole, or wherever the hell he was at. Even if let's say he put them in a prison, they die of being cold.
He's in Antarctica. What human can travel from Antarctica back to civilization and not freeze to death after being thrown into an ice pit?
I didn't say that. All I said was that you can't honestly say that they died, because like you said, when Zod
can't say that they didn't either.
That's right. But what I'm saying like this: when Superman throws Zod into the ice, he slides down into like the smoke, right? The other guy, he tries to fly, he couldn't fly, he falls down, and then the girl gets punched in the face by Lois Lane.
All right,
There's
now,
nothing.
let's pause to that one part right there. Let's pause on that one part right there. You said he slid down into the smoke, right?
Right.
Which would have been that means that smoke.
He wants all the smoke. He wanted all the smoke.
So,
Hey,
he wanted all the smoke, but B, that smoke could be condensation floating off the top of what? Because the room is heated to a certain degree, and there's ice. The Fortress of Solitude is probably on a glacier, which is under what? On top of what? Water. Frozen. Which they probably got dumped into frozen water, which means they probably can't swim.
That is too. Wait a minute, hold on. All that stuff is way too literal. We're looking at.
Well, where did they go then?
Because if that's the case, I'm gonna say, wait. If that's the case, because if you want to be literal, then I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna just say this: Batman versus Superman. Superman flies Batman up into the sky and throws him into a building, but Batman lives. Get the hell out of my face.
But because he was in that suit that he created.
Wait. Hold.
In the armor.
Wait a minute. He flies Batman into the sky and throws him down into a building.
Mm-hmm. In the armor.
I don't give a damn how much armor you got. You're not living.
What do you mean not living? Iron Man lives. Iron Man would live in his armor. So why can't Bruce live in his armor?
Thank you.
If Iron Man would live, if Iron Man had a whole planet dropped on him, a whole moon dropped on him by Thanos.
You know what? Okay. I'm willing to get it.
My point is, if you're gonna buy that, you gotta buy this. You know what I'm saying? You can't buy one and not buy the other.
Okay,
because Bruce, Batman is basically DC's Iron Man. They're basically the same. The billionaires, their superpower is being rich, and except Stark is a little smarter than he's smart, because he's a genius. But Bruce ain't no slouch either. He's smart himself. But the point is. Yeah, you can't say it.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give the benefit. I'm gonna give you guys the benefit of that one that you say. If Iron Man could live, but however, I'm gonna say it like this: Iron Man, he did live, but Cody got hit with the beam and he fell from the sky to the ground. He was paralyzed, right?
Rhodey, you mean Rhodey? Yeah.
Batman gets picked into.
But he only got paralyzed because his suit wasn't functional.
It was not functional.
It wasn't functional at the time.
Right. But what I'm sitting here saying is this:
also he fell from the
sky.
If we're matching altitude, if we're matching altitudes from movie to movie,
he fell much higher than Bruce.
Rhodey fell from a higher altitude.
Yeah. But if his armor was functional, he wouldn't have got paralyzed. When he fell.
Maybe not. I don't know, but I'll concede that one about Batman versus Superman. Okay.
Yeah.
My point is that with Superman 2, since you don't see a body, you can't just say
you can't say that because you don't think so. We didn't see a body. But Ralph, I bring back. Did we see a body when Batman stuck that bomb on that guy and threw him off?
You saw the bomb blow up.
Right. We didn't see a body though. So how do we know if he's dead?
You're just hyper-theorizing. If you saw the bomb blow up, more than likely the guy is dead.
Ralph, stop. There's no hyper-theorizing this.
All this is hyper-theorizing. We're trying.
The forces
we're trying to wait a minute, think about this. The three of us up here trying to analyze
I'm not
analyzing film in real world scenarios.
Ralph, I'm not analyzing shit. The movie is physically showing you that the Fortress of Solitude is in an Arctic place, which is nothing but a floating glacier, which is floating on top of what? Water. And the bottom Fortress of Solitude is open to what? Water. So if he didn't fall into a bottomless pit, if he's in Antarctica or in the Arctic place on a glacier, he fell into water, Ralph, which means he either froze to death or he drowned. Because what knows how to swim?
Okay, then answer this question. The answer to this question is then why, when you go into Fortress of Solitude, why is it warm? Why is it warm in there?
It's number one, it was warm in there because he made it warm so Lois could be able to survive. Remember, Lois wasn't able to survive in that wouldn't have been able to survive in that place unless
What
he was
about
able to modulate, unless
okay?
he was able
That's
to
cool.
modulate.
All right.
And
Then I'll say,
remember,
wait,
and
wait, wait, wait,
also,
wait.
I'm not finished.
Then I
I'm
ask
not
this
finished.
question. Then
Ralph,
I'll
I'm
ask
not
this question.
finished.
No,
Ralph,
no,
I'm
because
not finished answering your question.
it's a
I'm not
direct
finished
correlation. What you said. You
answering your
said
question.
he
Ralph,
made it warm for Lois.
Ralph, I'm
All
not.
right, so all
Okay.
right, Kev, you finish answering, and then Ralph, you answer. Go
On
ahead, Kev.
top of all of that, the Fortress of Solitude is made from what? The Kryptonian crystals that was left from his Krypton ship, right? That's how
Right.
the Fortress of Solitude was created from Kryptonian technology. So why wouldn't the atmosphere inside of the Fortress of Solitude be made to where other humans could be inside without it being cold? One, because Superman doesn't need for it to be heated because he's a super being and able to and he's Kryptonian, so he's able to stand the cold. The
Okay.
whole purpose of the Fortress of Solitude being created with the Kryptonian crystals was also so that when humans come on, because remember the whole purpose the other purpose of the Fortress of Solitude is so that the technology can also be passed on to man to be able for man to be better fitted to coincide with Kryptonian technology. Right or wrong?
Okay. Okay. All right. So with all that being said, if I'm not mistaken, you just said that it was warm in there because he brought Lois to the Fortress of Solitude.
No, I also the other half of my explanation was that the Fortress of Solitude was created with what? The Kryptonian crystals,
Krypton technology.
which was
Okay.
Kryptonian technology.
So,
So if that's the case, then in the beginning of Superman 2, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Lex Luthor and his girlfriend infiltrate the Fortress of Solitude? And it was warm in there. It was warm in there. Right. Now
it wasn't warm. It just wasn't freezing cold.
It wasn't freezing. But we can say, but I'll take warm over freezing. Well, we can sit there and say that Superman had absolutely no idea that someone could even find his Fortress of Solitude. So even if your explanation sounds right for Lois Lane, it doesn't back up that statement for Luthor.
Sure it does. Because
what does this have to? But wait, before we get back into that, let's stick with what happened. He comes out of the chamber that he already re-rigged, so they all got hit with the red sun. So now they're all powerless. He crushes Zod's hand when he says, whatever, take my hand. He crushes his hand, lifts him up, throws him. I don't know how many feet he threw him across the room. Zod hits the wall of the ice wall, and then slides into the smoke. We don't even know what the smoke is. All I'm going to try to say is this: if they really meant for you if they meant for you to know that he did not kill them, why didn't they ever mention it in no other dialogue, in no other film, in no other nothing? They never mentioned that he's got them imprisoned. He's got nothing. They could have, if they really wanted you to know that.
There's no need.
No, because you're supposed to just assume. I guess he assumed he killed them. What else?
No, you can't.
And rightfully so. They came in and destroyed them.
Because you can't assume that he killed them because at that particular point in time, everybody remember the thing that Superman doesn't kill people. So,
but that was never even established in the movie. They never even said that in the movie. They never said that Superman doesn't kill nobody. They never said that. I'm just saying this is just something that everyone is. This is the persona that was created. Everybody was saying that because Superman represented white America, white man in America,
American way.
Right. So the American way, but the American way is killing people.
Exactly. True justice in the American way is to put one in your face and watch you fall to the ground and turn around and walk away without thinking twice. So don't.
So that's true justice in the American way. So that's all I'm saying. So it's put it like this: if you had gun to your head, and you had to guess, did Zod survive Did they survive that fall or not? Gun to your head. Looking at what was put, the circumstances, you
I
would
just looked at
say,
it. I
I
would say,
think they survived.
yeah. I think since he got there before they did, and he already knew how he was going to be in because he knew Lex was going to rat him out, that he came up with some idea to re-imprison him. Now, who knows? Now, after this whole thing was all over, maybe he even figured out a way to repair the Phantom Zone and put him back into the Phantom Zone.
But now
I
you
don't
talk
know.
about us speculating. You're speculating.
That is what we are. That's what three of us do. We are speculating about a film and try to take what we
I
believe in
understand
real
that, but
life.
you're saying, but your maybes, Ralph. Come on, your maybes are pulled out of the sky. Our maybes is based on what we saw.
In the film.
We saw in the film.
No, my maybe is based on simply this: is that since they were all yelling as they were going into the smoke, right? That he did not kill them because if
because they was yelling, that you yell when you fall.
If I grabbed you right now, Ralph, and dropped you off the top of the Empire State Building, wouldn't you be yelling?
You're gonna yell.
Hold it. Because truly speaking, if Superman wanted to kill
I'm done. I'm myself because
he have killed Zod after the power when he crushed his hand. Couldn't he have killed him right then and there? He didn't have to throw him.
Of course,
all he had to do, he could have killed him right then and there. So
of course
if he had the
but he
opportunity, I'm going with the fact that during that particular point in time when Superman was being portrayed as the Boy Scout, even though it's not said in the movie that Superman wouldn't kill. So I gotta give the benefit of the doubt that perhaps he didn't kill him. Now, if you made that movie now the exact same way and the exact thing happened, maybe now you think that he did kill him. It all depends on where your mind's.
If I had to, based on what I saw, if I had a gun to my head and they said they live or die based on what you saw, me personally, I'd have to say they died. At least one or two of them. They all fell in the same place. So it's not like you heard them down there afterwards, like, oh, help me, get me out of here. Like you didn't hear none of that. That would imply that they were imprisoned or they were, some sort of trap or something. All you heard was and that was it, and then it's over. So like I said, that's hilarious. That's a whole other show. This is a great debate. Just like
because I'm looking like this. Look, listen. We all see superhero movies where the villain gets, you think they get down. In the Batman, yes, Batman kills the Joker. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And you even see that. And honestly, the only reason why you don't debate it is because they showed his body implanted into the ground. If they didn't show that, because we watch cartoons and comics, you might have really thought that maybe somehow the Joker survived. Maybe that's what you thought.
But surviving doesn't mean he didn't have the intent to kill him.
You're absolutely right.
It's the same deal. Even if he would have survived, right? He still meant to kill him. So that whole Batman doesn't kill bullshit is out the window. Just from the first Batman motion picture. I mean, other than the one from from the TV show.
We're not going to count the TV show.
We're not going to count that. From the first Batman motion picture, the people, just because people died off screen, or Joker died on screen, but yeah,
But I'm even going to get that one because the intent. Because if I'm not mistaken, in Dark Knight, did Batman not throw the Joker off the building with the intent to kill him? Maybe with the intent to kill him, but he instead because he wanted to prove the point.
But
he lassos him. He grabs him back up. He even said,
right. Well, then he tried to kill. He tried to save him.
Trying to kill him. That wasn't his intent.
That wasn't his intent.
Wait. Throwing somebody off the top of a building, you don't have the intent to
No,
kill him?
Not
because
if
he
you're gonna save him.
Come on.
because he didn't want to be him. He was proving the point. The whole
Yeah.
point of why Joker was blowing up the two boats was to set up the two boats was because he wanted to show that humanity wasn't shit. Batman proved to the Joker that look, right now I can throw you off this building and not think twice about it. But I'm going to spare your life and let you live because we're not you. We're not going to become you. We believe in this. We believe in the preservation of life. We don't
Right.
think that everybody needs to die. That was
Right.
the whole point, and Batman
That was
saved
his point.
him
Yeah.
for that whole purpose.
And like I said, I don't even go into the whole Batman kills thing debate either because Batman would rather. It's not like he wants to go out and kill people, but he kills if
Sometimes shit
necessary.
happens. Sometimes shit
Yeah,
happens.
it happens. He kills if necessary. Things like, but he never has to. If you read all of the Batman stories and look at all Batman stories, that's why in all of the other Batman stories, he never kills the Joker. That was the only Batman that he actually killed the Joker, other than the killing joke. When we that was but other than that, that's what they always talk about. Batman doesn't kill the Joker. You know, uh,
Yeah,
so so
the main reason why Robin left Batman is because Batman doesn't kill.
yeah, Robin meaning Damian Wayne,
Right.
his son, who
Yeah,
definitely kills.
Robin, Nightwing, whatever you say. It's still saying.
No, not Nightwing. The Robin that was actually turned out to be his son, which is Damian Wayne. He is a killer. He was raised by Ra's al Ghul. So
Who? Damian Wayne. Who is Damian's mother?
Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul.
So what
Ra's
happened
al
to
Ghul's
Batman's daughter? What happened to Batman's daughter?
Nothing happened to her. She's around too.
Damn, Batman was getting
But she came after Damien, I think. Yeah. She is also the daughter of the Bat. Yep. He had an ongoing relationship with Talia al Ghul. So except when Damien was born, he had no idea. I don't think if he had any idea about the other one. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty funny though. That's pretty funny. So anyway, DC had their panel and it was okay. I do want to see Black Adam. It looks good. We'll see how that goes.
Joseph in the chat room saying who knows, maybe the polar bears killed and ate General Zod and his followers. Never know, man.
That's a good one. That's a good one, Joseph. Oh, and by the
Maybe-
way, thanks again, Joseph. Rest in peace, Michelle Nichols. Oh man. Yeah,
Man,
man.
that hurt. That one hurt.
Rest peacefully. We also lost the great Bill Russell, the true Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
We lost him as well. Rest in peace to and their whole family. Condolences from Real Talk to the families of these people and their loved ones. One other thought before we move on to our other topics. So it is the actually as of I think it was July 30th, one of those dates. It was the official 40th anniversary of the last American Virgin. So we want to definitely give them a round of applause. The fact that they're able to stay pretty relevant and 40 years later for a film to be such a cult classic and beloved film that they still get a lot of people, they still get a lot of recognition. They still, I mean, it's one of those iconic cult classic films, you know what I mean? That's just people can't seem to forget, because when you think about it, although there were so many movies from that era, we talked about this many times, that was that along with Fast Times was one of the first. They kind of let in those type of movies, those teenage wilding crazy movies. And also that whole, when you think about it, placed up against all of the other movies, that one was probably one of the more original ones out of all of them, as far as topic going and whatever. Um, but it became the blueprint. The guy tries to get the girl. The popular girl in school or whatever you want to call it, and the nerd falls for the popular girl in school. That became like a blueprint of all of those type of movies when you think about it. All the way up to American Pie. It became that blueprint where
It became the Hollywood business model
right
of
every
how successful movies should be.
yeah, you're right, exactly. Every one of those movies, took a little bit of something between that and Fast Times. It was a little bit of something taken from one of those movies that build on the next movie. I mean, is that fair to say? So I
that's very
definitely,
fair.
I
That's very
definitely
fair.
give them props. I've been in touch. Diane Franklin is a friend of the show. She loves coming on our show and kicking it with us. I've been in contact with her, and we did say when we spoke to them last year, we want to bring them back for the anniversary. So I'm working that out now. So I've made contact, of course, with Diane Franklin, Joe Robo, who played David. I did reach back out to Lawrence Monason, and I'm waiting on him to get back to me. And Diane is actually, I'm sending her a press or invite that she will, out of the kindness of her heart, she will deliver to other people from the film, including the director. She'll deliver. She will send it to him directly, and hopefully we can get the director on the show. That would be great. That would be awesome. I mean, that would really add to what we did last time. And I also spoke with Diane about getting some sort of because she has like 3 books out now. So I was talking with her about getting like an autographed copy of like all of her books, and we can use that as giveaways for the show. We can do some
I like to read
contests.
it.
Yeah. I read the first one.
Handily get a free copy for yourself. I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. We're gonna go up there and be like, caller number 31, and there was no call.
eBay tomorrow. It's gonna be an eBay tomorrow.
Yeah, I already own 2 of them. I didn't. The third one I didn't get yet, but yeah, I want to, but they're not signed, so they're actually digital copies. So
No, they don't count. They don't count.
Yeah, that doesn't count. A digital copy. So I want to get the ones with her signed, so we can use them as giveaways, which would be real cool. So we'll see. We'll set up. That's scheduled for another couple weeks.
I saw the photo shoot that she. I saw the photo shoot she put up. I'm like, Diane Franklin still looking kind of tempting there at age 60 in those black and white pictures. I'm like, wow.
Diane Franklin, she's great. She looks great. She looks great, man. She looks great, and she's such a cool person, man. I love talking to her and kicking it with her from day one when I met her at the Comic-Con, man. It was cool, man. It was good. It was good to see. It was good to meet her, and she's definitely very humble and down to earth person. Always cool to hang with. I want to actually bring her daughter on as well, because her daughter is a filmmaker, and her daughter has like written and directed stuff, and it'd be nice to get. I would like to get her perspective from a filmmaker. So, what did you think about The Last American Virgin? What's your opinion on it? And if you were to remake the Last American Virgin, because they always remake movies, right? If you were to remake The Last American Virgin, I'm gonna ask her, how would you do it? How would you make it resonate with kids of today, if possible?
Very easy. When the whole let Diane's character fall for him, and he says, "Nah, I'm too good for you," and walk out the door. and then you play, and while he's walking out, you got CeeLo's "Fuck You" playing in the background as he's walking out into his car. That's
I know, right? That's how you hit the.
For her, like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how you have her say it. Yeah. So anyway, that's
That's
funny.
ice
So,
cold. That's ice cold.
that's high school for you. So anyhow, that's pretty much that. So we're actually gonna be doing that show probably in the next few weeks, like around either the show like on the 15th or the week after that. So we'll get that popping. Yeah. So uh, Black Panther. Let's get to that. So we've already talked about in DC. I mean, excuse me, in Marvel, where the Hall H showing at Marvel. We know that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The trailer has come out. Um, and it had like I don't know an insane amount of like views in less than 24 hours, right? Um, so now there's apparently a group of so-called fans that claims that they plan to boycott the Wakanda Forever movie because they're trying to force the hand of Marvel to hashtag recast T'Challa, right? Fans threatened to boycott Black Panther 2 over demands to recast T'Challa. So I'm not even gonna go into the whole thing. There's someone put a post up. No matter what, Chadwick will always have a place in our hearts. He's our Black Panther, but the show must go on. It's not about dignity or disrespecting the character. Bozeman would wanted to recast T'Challa to pass the beacon rather than killing the character with all this honor and morals and all this. Okay, uh, honor and murals. That's what it says. Okay, now, first of all, I want to say this. There's several outlets that are reporting uh, as the orange idiot used to say, fake news, right? There's several outlets that are reporting fake news. They're reporting not truthful articles. They're saying that they keep quoting that Kevin Feige uh, promised to never recast T'Challa in the MCU. That is inaccurate. That is false. That is fake news. That is it's false because he never actually said that he's never going to recast T'Challa in the MCU ever.
Ever.
And then now to add a little more context to why these people who reported this may think that that is true, because I was reading an article where they were speaking with some executive over at Marvel, I guess Marvel Cinematic, whatever, Marvel Studios, and he kind of doubled down on it and said, yeah, you know, Chadwick, we it was a decision that was made from everybody in agreement, and we're gonna honor him. And what he said, this guy said that I don't think we'll see a T'Challa in the 616 universe, because now you got to remember, everyone, we are now in the midst of the multiverse saga, right? So 616 universe is our, like, basically our universe, so to speak, in the multiverse. So that's what he said, implying that you could see a variant of T'Challa or a variant or this or whatever, right? Because if he's going to say never is never, right? And then if not, he said the 616 universe. Now, here's the deal. The people are running with that and saying that they said that, Marvel confirmed that they're never going to recast T'Challa in the MCU. Okay. Inaccurate. First and foremost, I don't care who the hell that guy was. If it don't come from Kevin Feige, I don't care nothing about it. It don't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Now, we already know that Kevin Feige said that they will not recast T'Challa for this movie. He said not only will they not recast him for this movie, they're not going to use any holograms of him or any CGI, I should say, of him. No computer generated Chadwick Boseman's. No, that's not how they're gonna do it. We came to it last week and we was like, doesn't mean they won't use archive footage of him because that's not CG, that's not computer generated. It's just archive footage that they never used. They did it in Superman 2 with Marlon Brando, right? So, or they at least used his voice. I don't know, did they show some? Yeah, I think they showed some stuff that he shot originally when they shot Superman, and then they used some of that footage in the Donner cut. I think they used some of that footage of in Superman in the Donner cut of Superman 2. So, once again, people, and because of the reaction of this, most of this reaction is because everyone thinks, or all these people that are so angry, they think that Marvel is committed to never recasting the T'Challa character. That is inaccurate, and because of that, I employ these outlets to get it straight, get the facts right. You know what I mean? Don't just put stuff out there because you want to get a hot take. And you want to, because there's more than one that's reported that, and that's not correct. I don't see. There's no footage of Kevin Feige saying that he will never, ever, ever recast T'Challa. There's no footage of him saying that. There's nothing out there of him saying that. So that's wrong. Second of all, do you really think we're in the midst of the multiverse saga, and we're not going to see another T'Challa somewhere? Come on. Because the bottom line is you have to stay with your storylines, right? You got to stay with your storylines. If there's a T'Challa in the 616 universe, then there's a T'Challa in the other universes. So even if the T'Challa from this 616 universe dies, there's other ones. So eventually you're going to recast them. And now they've set up 2 more Avenger movies that's going to take place in 2025. If you think that between those 2 movies that we will not have a T'Challa Black Panther, because you're definitely going to have a Black Panther, but it's going to be a T'Challa Black Panther, and I'll tell you why. The Avengers, if nothing else, Avengers Secret Wars, okay? And this is about the comic book out on you, Ralph, but there's something you have to hear. So the Secret Wars from
and did you both books for both eras?
Well, it all depends. He's involved in both of them, though. That's the funny thing. But he has the latest one that everyone kind of feels they will adapt. Because Secret Wars, there was two versions of it. There was one that took place in like the 80s in the comics, and then they revamped it and redid it in the 2000, I want to say 2016, 2015, something like that. Not that long ago, but so they redid the comic. That's probably the most recent one. Is probably going to be the one that because it has Miles Morales in it and stuff like that. So that's probably going to be the one that they adapt for the movie. T'Challa is a big part in that storyline. Big part in that storyline. Him, and we've already introduced. They're introducing Namor. Namor and T'Challa are huge players in Avengers Secret Wars. Okay, so Now, granted, once again, Ralph, these are for the people that don't know anything about the comics or the stories or the backstories, so they all got their panties in a bunch, thinking that T'Challa will never come back. But how can and now the people who know these things, we're more relieved because we're like, how can they possibly? I mean, of course, you could possibly do it. You could do it with another Black Panther. It doesn't have to be T'Challa, but it kind of does in this case. But we're thinking, well, they're going to do Secret Wars now that the cat's out of the bag. To me, that's almost like a lock that they're going to, recast T'Challa and bring back T'Challa eventually.
I'm gonna say this.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second, Ralph. Just to put kind of an addendum to what Wes is saying, which is a huge part of what he's saying. There's also a storyline in which this is the reason why they were able to use Shuri and put her in as being Black Panther, because there is an episode where T'Challa gets injured. I forget which battle was it he was in. I'm not sure if it was a battle with Namor, who exactly it was, who it was with.
I think so, yeah.
But T'Challa got hurt while being Black Panther, and he was actually in a coma for a while. And Shuri ended up taking the mantle of Black Panther. So with that being said, with this movie, they could have a battle to where and if Ryan Coogler started out writing this script in the beginning, it may have been altered a little bit, but they could realistically show T'Challa as being injured, and then either at the end of the movie or at the beginning of the movie, or either at the end of the movie or the beginning of the next movie, show T'Challa coming out of his coma or still in the coma, and show him as another actor, but show him, in his coma.
Right, but they're not going to do that because they definitely vowed not to recast him for this movie. They're not going to do that for this movie. But my point is this: eventually they're going to recast.
But I said that part, just not to cut you off again, but I said that part to say that they could, in dialogue, still say that T'Challa's in a coma and not show him on screen at all.
It's possible, and it could. I mean, those things are possible. Now, the reason why I had to bring that up with the Secret Wars, they have now the reason why they decided to do Secret Wars. Let's be honest. There's really no
money.
Well, money or whatever, but there's really no other. I'm gonna say there's no other, but there's very few, if any, other Avengers stories that they could do that could possibly be big and bad as Endgame,
and
unless they did Secret Wars.
And I even hate, and just off of my own opinion, I hate the fact that they call it Avengers Secret Wars. I think that it should be called Secret Wars because they've turned the term of Avengers into this thing like once we all become together, we all become Avengers, and that's not the case. Even though there are comic book wise a lot of characters that were at one time or another teamed up with the Avengers to handle a threat, whether it be global or local. They've can be considered as honorary Avengers. I hate the fact now that everything that they do, if it's a group effort, it's more an Avenger thing. And
I mean, they could have just called it Secret Wars, but the Avengers is their, that I don't know. Maybe they are, they're probably gonna tie it in a little bit with the stories. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this as well, Ralph. Obviously, like all, they're not gonna do it page by page, panel for panel, exactly like the comic book. I know that, but they're not gonna do that because they shouldn't do that. It would be, a little too. Because to be honest with you, Secret Wars. And I read it years ago. I read it again a few months ago. I read it again because I bought it. But it's really a little complicated.
On top of that, there are two versions to pick from.
There's two versions to pick from, but the most recent version, both of them are complicated. But the most recent version is a little complicated. It
complicated.
Probably more complicated. It involves Doom. He's a big player in it, so you know we're going to see Doom. He's going to have to be
The
introduced
player on
soon.
the first one. I think it's going to be a combination of both the newest version.
No, Doom's a player on the second version, the 2015 one, the one I just read. He's a big
Oh, he's
player
even
on
bigger
that.
than that one. In the first one,
He's
he had a role because he helped with Galactus or whatever the case may be. But in this one, he has even a greater. He's like even more involved.
in the first make a long story short, in the first one there was a group of other people that was involved. There was a guy, the Beyonder or whatever, that was involved who had the battle world. So battle world was just where they're pitting the different villain heroes against each other, like against their variants and stuff like that, right? So it could have been Spider-Man versus Miles Morales or whatever, right? So, but that was basically put on by this dude named the Beyonder. So, in the most recent version of it, Doom is the one who creates this battle world, and he's the one who's controlling it and pitting everyone against each other. Now, like I said, it's not gonna be word for word, pound for pound, because it gets into. If there was, it would be so confusing for people because there's so much into that they don't even have enough time to cover. And I'll be honest. Shout out to Jay over at From Heroes to Icon. I was chatting with him about it, and I said, to be honest with you, I think they're rushing it a little bit. I hate to say that. I'm never the one to say that, but they're gonna do those two movies in 1 year, and I believe before it's all said and done, one of them's gonna get pushed back because they got a lot to introduce in between now and Secret Wars.
Well,
right? We need to be introduced to Doom. We're already getting Namor this year. We need Doom,
which
most definitely
get this year, hopefully in Wakanda.
Right.
We may or may not get.
We might see him in Wakanda Forever, maybe in an end credit scene. He's not going to be in it. Maybe in an end credit scene, we might see him. If they're smart, they would go back to the same formula and introduce him.
I'm sorry, but you just tied a bow around what you said. You just tied a bow around what you said, and I will talk to you about it off air.
Yeah. If they follow the same formula, which they should, and start this, these backstory lines on the end credit scenes, because if you notice, Marvel started kind of slacking with their end credit scenes. It was before all the end credit scenes led to something else. It was like a lead up to another film almost. So we might see. So we need Doom. We need Namor. We got Namor. We need Doom. We need the X-Men. They got to be, at least Cyclops. Cyclops is a big person in it in Secret Wars, but
we need which is going to be in the form of Ironheart.
Right. We need Miles Morales. We need Miles Morales. He's big in the Secret Wars story.
Wait, let me interject for a second here, because you're saying like you need this. Is it very possible they can do this and still hold back on introducing characters simply because they don't have a cast?
No.
Not
if they want. Not if they want to do it and it makes any real meaning. Of course they can, but my point is, let me re-answer that. Yes, of course they can. Just like, for instance, they did Civil War. In Civil War, they were missing a lot of people from the comics, but they were still able to do Civil War. They were still able to keep the basic premise of why Civil War happened. And the bottom line, it happened because you had a group of heroes that agreed with the Accords, or which was called the Registration in the comic books, or like the whatever they was calling themselves.
Registration Act is what
not the mutant. It was just like the Hero Registration Act or whatever. And then you had and in the MCU it's the Sokovia Accords, right? So
And
you
that
had
mutants, and that meant humans. That meant heroes and villains had to register.
had
Didn't
to
matter.
register, yeah.
You
Didn't
had
matter who it was. So you had the Sokovia Accords, right? So you had a group that agreed to it. You had a group that didn't agree to it. That's the basic premise of civil war, right? A one nation that was together, divided, and fought each other. So the basic premise of it was kept. A lot was changed, but it was still made a good movie. So to answer your question, Ralph, yes, they could still do
well,
uh Secret Wars without the people. But the only reason why I'm saying this is because within the storyline, okay, if they were not to bring these few people that we're talking about, which they planned on introducing anyway, we all know they've already introduced Miles Morales in the cartoon version, in the animated version. We know that they plan on
and they
bringing
also
Miles Morales. That's for sure.
and they also introduced his uncle in
Right.
Spider-Man
And Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah,
Homecoming.
they introduced his uncle in Homecoming, which was Donald Glover. Donald Glover was that's the guy who becomes the Prowler, a villain of Spider-Man's. But
I just want to make one note or a caveat to what you said. The reason why Civil War happened the way it happened was because at the time Marvel
they didn't
didn't
have the rights.
have the
Yeah,
right
they had the rights.
to all of
They
their
had to do it, but now they got the rights,
Yeah,
Ralph. That's the
I,
point.
I agree that no, I understand that, but I'm saying is that from what he said, they're trying to put the Civil War movie out in 2023. You guys don't have enough time to introduce that many
Oh, they do.
characters
No,
all
no,
over.
no. I mean, you saw it. You remember the graphic we put up. All those dates in between that are unfilled. They have time to
These are
introduce
the
it. But for
movies and
me,
TV
I
shows.
felt that they needed at least another year to properly introduce them.
And
That's
remember,
my opinion.
2025 is 3 years from now.
That's 3 years from now.
That's
Yeah.
more than enough time. And you got to remember that's 3 years from now with movies that are already either in production or wrapping production for next year. So
Now, what might be acceptable, so to speak, because they got two movies, right? One is called The Kang Dynasty, and one is Secret Wars. Now, what I said by I felt that those should have been apart. The only thing that kind of strikes me that might happen is somehow they're gonna tie Kang into both movies and they make it like a part one and two, just like in game, Infinity War and Endgame. But it just seems kind of weird for me for them to
but
wrap
that
up this whole Kang thing and then go to Secret Wars.
what's going to
With
happen is I think at the end of the because remember there's going to be space in between those movies, and I think what's going to happen is before the Kang Dynasty movie comes out, we're going to start seeing heroes disappearing again, and they're going to think it's the blip. But it's another blip. But it's not going to be another blip. It's going to be something that Doctor Doom is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
Doctor Doom is going to be introduced. And as he's introduced, we're going to start seeing these heroes disappear. And then it's going to somehow they're going to do that. If they're doing Secret Wars, somehow they're setting up for Battle War. Because the other thing they're setting up for, the other thing that I mentioned this one before.
Battle World is part of Secret Wars.
Is a part of Secret Wars. But one of the things that people are not realizing is if you want to get a clue as to what's going on, pay attention to Disney Plus. Pay attention to the programming that's not being shown on Disney Plus. And that'll give you a little bit of a hint as to what characters are coming up. And it can kind of give you a little bit of trajectory as to what's going on. The Rise of the Silver Surfer is not on Disney Plus. And there are one or two other shows that are not other movies that are not on Disney Plus right now that I believe, but they're not on Disney Plus because those characters are kind of sort of influential to what's coming up. I think in one of these shows, Galactus is going to be a problem. at some point. And we also have to remember Galactus was a part of Secret Wars, the first Secret Wars.
But this is why, and not to get all the way off the subject, but it is on the subject. But this is why I feel honestly, even though 2025 is 3 years away, I felt that they should have pushed it one more year, and I think they still will. I think as they start putting things together, I won't be surprised if the last movie gets pushed back more because those two movies are only a few months apart. Yeah, hey, the Kang Dynasty. Hell, they didn't even do that with Endgame and Infinity War. Endgame Infinity War was what, a year apart?
Almost 13.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they didn't even do that with Infinity War and Endgame. So it's like to have them right behind each other is kind of weird to me, but we'll see what they do. But I mean,
now I got this other question because you guys are saying a lot. What's the chance of superhero burnout? Right, where
two chances, slim and none. But go ahead.
I don't know because I'm saying like
super. Or let me rephrase that question to you. Superhero burnout to who?
Well,
comic fans?
No, because I'm saying it like this: is that before when they started doing comic book adaptations, you just had movies, right? But now you're hitting them with feature films and streaming shows at the same time, and you're releasing all this product. Is there any chance of a superhero burnout where someone says, "Hey, there's just too much"? Like me, like right now, I'm struggling to catch up to everything else that's with Marvel. Like I've seen all the Marvel movies, but I haven't seen all the Marvel streaming stuff, and I'm struggling to catch up to everything because as soon as I start catching up, bam, you hit me with something else new. So, is there really a chance or a possibility that somewhere down the line there could be either superhero burnout where someone says that it's too much coming so fast, and maybe it'd be good to stretch it out a little bit longer, or someone sitting there saying, you know what, I've had my fill of superhero movies. You know,
here's the thing, Ralph.
I don't see that happening.
As Wes said, slim and none, and here's why. Because for every person that saying exactly what you said, that I'm exhausted or of superhero stuff and I don't want to deal with it anymore, to the people who are struggling to catch up, to the people who just don't like superhero films, who are just casual goers just to go because it's what everybody's doing. For every one of those people, there are probably 5 to 10 new superhero fans being built by either parents like me or just casual people who just get into comic books and are like, oh, wow, my favorite heroes are on the big screen. So that's always going to be a growing, that fan base is always going to grow. And as long as people like me are still alive,
because the ones that's not in that if it's not growing from the comic books, it's growing from the cartoons, it's growing from the toys, and so there's always going to be fans of that. And I don't think my answer, I'm answering you. The answer is no for the most part, for the masses, because also to add to what Kevin said, for every person that is like what you're saying, struggling to catch up and may get a superhero. I'm not saying that no people may not have it. Yeah, but it won't be enough to hurt their numbers. I'm gonna tell you that much. If it doesn't hurt their bottom line, why do they care? Why would they care if anyone gets quote unquote superhero burnout? Because the money, make no mistake, bro. The money don't come from the non-comic fans. It comics from the comic.
No.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because they're the ones that seeing the movie. We just made it this already. They're the ones seeing the movie 2, 3, 4 times over.
See, the reason I'm asking this question because I was watching another movie related show, and it was Campia, and he was saying that a lot of fans think that Phase 4 is not so great. With Marvel fans, it's not so great.
More Marvel fans that thought Phase 2 wasn't so great. And
I don't know everything that was in Phase 2. I mean, if you're gonna guess between the Avengers, the first Avengers, second Avengers, I mean, it was Phase 2 just Iron Man 3 or
right. You're gonna
yeah,
get movies there's definitely gonna be movies that not
Nobody
everyone's gonna love.
but
and
what I'm
did not
saying
Make your point. Make your
but
point.
what
Go
I'm
ahead.
sitting here saying is this: is that now he was coming up with some real specific reasons how comic book movies could possibly fans could feel burnt out or turn out because Phase 4 isn't doing so. They don't think that Phase 4 is so great. And for me, like I'm sitting here saying, like I am really struggling to try to catch up to all the stuff that's already out there, right? Before something else. Kev, wait a minute. Before something else comes up,
you make
right? I just now got today. I just got finished watching what's if, right? So I still got 3 more series to go before it, and then She-Hulk is coming out in a couple of weeks, right? So I still got to catch up since it's going to somehow maybe correlate to the other stuff that was on Netflix. It's just like I got those series to catch up, and by the time I catch up to them, who knows what the hell is coming down the line? So
Ralph, that stuff on Netflix, that's old stuff. That stuff has nothing to do with phase 4 at all. That's first and foremost. Secondly, Kevin Feige said if you watched anything with the San Diego Comic Con, he said, and verbatim, these were his words. I'm paraphrasing that at this point right now, phase 4 might not. Wait a minute, let me finish. Phase 4 might not seem like it's making sense, but everything is going to start coming together in phase 5.
I understand. I did hear what you said, but that's not that. I'm not talking about from Kevin Feige. I'm talking about from the regular people. Is it possible that regular people will begin to suffer comic book burnout? That's really it.
I mean, so when you saying regular people, you mean non-comic book fans?
Non-comic book fans.
Of course, there's a possibility, but it isn't gonna hurt them. That's the point. So you said the guy, whoever you was watching, said that people are saying that Phase 4 isn't so good or whatever the case may be. Well, let's look at Phase 4. Phase 4. Wait, let me just address that. Thor: Love and Thunder is closing in on $700 million. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is closing in on $1 billion, isn't it?
I believe it is.
It's closing in on it, right? That's all part of Phase 4.
But so is all I'm going by what he said, and the guy was John Campbell.
Falcon Winter Soldier was a part of Phase 4.
But
mostly TV shows. A lot of the TV shows. There's only 1, 2, 3 movies. No, 4 movies. No, 5 actually, because Phase 4 started off with Black Widow, which actually was not supposed to start off Phase 4. It was supposed to have been before that, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, we understand that.
We know that. We already know that because of the pandemic, right? But anyway, so Phase 4 started off with Black Widow. Movie-wise, is Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi, Multiverse of Madness,
Eternals,
and I said Eternals, yeah. Thor: Love and Thunder, and only we cannot add Spider-Man only because it's a Sony property. But that was a Sony Marvel collaboration, so you gotta kind of add that in there too.
And the
Phase 4
from the MCU, so technically it's MCU Spider-Man. So you can't.
It's MCU. Yeah, that's the MCU Spider-Man.
But if that's the case, then you also gotta add Venom. You also gotta add Morbius. And I'm just saying now. Look what you said.
Morbius is not a part of the MCU.
No, that's not part of the MCU though.
Is it? Wait. Hold on a second. You cannot sit there and say you want to count Spider-Man as part of the Sony.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can say that because
listen,
Ralph, that was a collaboration between them and Marvel.
Why they had they had
Doctor
Strange and the multiverse in that because it was a MCU Sony collaboration, and this is why.
I understand that.
So what I
was about to say was, if you're gonna sit there and say, well, it was a Sony MCU collaboration with Spider-Man, then how can you sit there and say Venom and Morbius are not. That there's
They're
something totally
not,
different.
because
Because
they're
if I'm not
not.
That's what
mistaken,
you said.
Because Marvel Studios had nothing to do with those
Listen,
movies.
first of all, that's not what you said. You said Morbius.
that is what I said, but you keep
No, you didn't
injecting
say
before I
anything
get
about
a chance to say what I
Venom.
gotta
You
say.
just said, Ralph, you had just said Morbius. You didn't mention anything about Venom.
Yes, I
Morbius.
did.
No, you didn't, Ralph. Until
Yes,
just
I did.
Morbius.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
You did.
I'm going to correct you. Morbius has nothing to do with the MCU. That was a Sony project, and even Sony screwed that up because they didn't know what they were going to do or how to do it, and they screwed it up. This is why Kevin
Thanks,
Feige,
Jazz.
with his meeting with Sony, told Sony they need to slow down because they're
Right.
screwing stuff up. Now,
Yeah.
I understand.
now, listen, Venom is a part of the MCU through Spider-Man because of the symbiote that was left in the end.
And that was just from an after credit scene. But just to put a bow on that, Ralph. And I know where you were going with it. I don't mean I'm not trying to cut you off. I know what I'm not trying to cut you off, Ralph. I'm trying to clarify. No, I'm trying to clarify. You're saying that how can we say that Spider-Man is a part of the MCU and Venom and Morbius is not? And I'm telling you very simply because Marvel Studios had nothing to do with had nothing to do with Morbius, and Marvel Studios had nothing to do with Venom. If it wasn't a Marvel Studios Sony Studios collaboration, then it can't be considered part of the MCU. It doesn't tie in with any of the MCU storylines or anything in it. That's how we say it, and it's not part of the MCU. It can't be. It doesn't tie in with the only ones that tie in with them is the MCU Spider-Man, which is Tom Holland. So that's why we can say very, very confidently that now that end credit scene may go somewhere and it may not. But it's just an end credit scene that was part of Spider-Man from the MCU. That's it.
Also, the other thing about that too is we don't know where that bar was, whether it was in Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's, or even even Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man universe. We don't know which one that Venom was actually in. So we can automatically almost assume that it wasn't in Tom Holland, and it could be up in the air on whether it was Tobey Maguire or whether it was Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, on top of the fact that they're rumored to be coming back with a Spider-Man for each one of those, which means that Venom could tie into their universe and stay away from the Tom Holland.
I do believe that they want to bring Venom into the MCU, but once again, what Kev had mentioned, Kevin Feige has already told Sony they need to pump the brakes. They're doing too much right now and trying to have it both ways. You could do your own because you own the rights to the stuff. You could do your own movies, but what you're trying to do is what they realize is if they don't somehow try to at least make people think that they're tied into the MCU, they ain't gonna make no money. It's simple. Not the money that they want, because they know they need Marvel to make the kind of money they, because none of their movies before that ever hit $1 billion before they was messing with Marvel. Like the Marvel Studios. Before they started collaborating with Marvel, none of their other movies hit $1 billion. They like that $1 billion. They want to keep.
I just want to be clear that the Venom movie, Let There Be Carnage, and Morbius have nothing to do with Marvel. The Marvel's MCU.
The Marvel
despite
Studios.
the fact that Marvel is listed down there as. All right.
Marvel
despite
Studios.
the fact that Marvel is listed down in the production company, that they have nothing to do with
Marvel Studios, Ralph. Marvel Studios.
I got that. But what I'm saying,
right.
I just want to clarify that despite the fact that Marvel is listed down in the production company, that they have nothing to do with the MCU. They're just
Marvel what? Listen, that is they have to, by contract, they have to say that because it's a part of Marvel.
It's part of a Marvel property. Yeah, it's still a Marvel property, regardless of them having. Yeah, still regardless of them having the rights to do the movies. It's a Marvel property, so they're always going to have to credit Marvel.
and also, Ralph, to give you a better clarity as to what's going on, they only have the rights for that with movies and with and also with cartoons, but Marvel still has the rights to do whatever they want to do with cartoons and with product
Hmm. Yeah, of course, merchandise,
and
stuff
merchandise.
like that. Yeah, but it's still a Marvel property. We all know that they own the rights to do the movies. We all know that. But the only reason why I'm saying that is yes, they're gonna list Marvel's gonna be listed as that's just like any other thing. It's just like
Like with Blade,
anybody. It's with anybody. If they it's their property, so they're gonna be listed. But it's not a Marvel Studio Sony collaboration. That was only the Tom Holland movies. The Tom Holland movies was basically Sony Marvel saying to Sony, "We got this. You're gonna benefit from it. We're gonna benefit from it because our fans, our loyal fans, are gonna benefit from it, and your pockets are gonna benefit from it." And it was it should have been a no-brainer for Sony to do it. But those are the only ones that are collaboration. If Sony decides to do another um, Andrew Garfield film, that will not be a Marvel Studios collaboration. That's just going to be another film, and it may do well because of the Marvel one that they did, because of the Tom Holland one, and now they reintroduced him, so the film might do good. But neither here nor there. Bottom line, I believe that they do. To answer your question altogether, I was saying with Phase Four, you're saying even if we say that guy is right, that's obviously just his opinion. But if let's say he's right, and a lot of the people, non-comic fans, are not happy with Phase Four, it's not affecting their bottom line because they got two films in it that did $1 billion. So it's not affecting their bottom line. So why should they care? At the end of the day, they're going to continue to tell their stories, and like Kevin Feige said, it's going to start tying together. But here's where the problem comes in with people like yourself, young man. The people that fall behind, now you're going to be playing catch up when everything starts to tie in the next phase. You're going to be playing catch up from this phase. And then that's just their problem. And if you're just going to get frustrated behind it, that's a you problem. That ain't a Marvel problem. Marvel is telling their story the way they planned it out from years ago to put it together, right? So they're going in the way they want to go. The people that are interested are going to stay interested. They're going to stay on board and follow it. And really, they're not going to get burnt out because actually adding the TV shows is helping us understand the bottom line of the stories and the in betweens and all of that stuff. And it's keeping you from having to pick up a comic book and go read the comic books because these TV shows are gonna tie in directly with the movies. So it's definitely not, like I said, the ultimate answer. Maybe if you want to say for a few people that casual moviegoers don't not really diehard fans of the brand, yeah. But Marvel has enough diehard fans that you know there's so many more stories to tell, bro. It seems like they might have shot their load with the Infinity Saga, but they haven't. It's so many more stories to tell. Now, what I do believe is the only burnout I believe is going to happen is Avengers burnout. That I think is going to happen. I think people eventually, now that Marvel and everyone knows that Marvel has the other properties back and stuff like that, we're going to eventually start wanting to phase out the Avengers and bring in the X-Men. That's really gonna want to bring them back, right? But like we said, Kevin Feige said we're gonna have to wait for that. So he's smart by doing that because we're not gonna have to, we're gonna be dying for it.
and
We're
he
gonna be
and he
we're gonna
said
be
five
dying for it.
years, and he said 5 years, 3 years ago, mind you.
Yeah, he did. He did. That's true that you said that. That's true. So we know that tells me right there, um, that we're going to, pretty soon we're going to start. We already saw Professor X, but pretty soon we're going to start seeing some
That
X
means
Men.
next year. That means
Yeah,
next year
by
you should.
next year we're going to start seeing some more mutants,
Oh,
and,
as a
and
matter of
maybe a
fact,
couple of
as a
X Men.
matter of fact, as a matter of fact, that rings true. And here's why. Because next year or this year is when their contract expires for when we're not for when the characters are allowed to be changed
No,
or
no, it's not this year. It's not. It's not this year. It's actually not till 2020. It's not till 2025.
oh it's
So
2025.
just to clarify that for people who don't know, Marvel, the contract that Fox had with the actors, right, were basically they can't recast them until 2025.
But see
So
they
when Marvel bought Fox, they actually still absorbed that contract, that little nugget in the contract, which is another reason why, probably the initial reason why Kevin Feige said for no less than 5 years, because he knows that he doesn't want to recast. He know that he doesn't want to bring back every single person from the other movies, and they're not going to be allowed to officially recast those characters. Now they can take. I think the stipulation is they can do variants of them. They can do other characters. This is like the core characters, like the X-Men character. They could do other mutant characters that hasn't been depicted in X-Men. Now, there's plenty of them that hasn't really been shown and depicted in X-Men that are still big. Like let's say like let's just take what's a character that's kind of a big character. Well, they did do Bishop did show up in one of them, so I don't know how that character is like, but I think Bishop might fall under that umbrella, who's a character that's a lot of people know from the cartoons, right? Gambit, they never really showed Gambit. They showed that crappy Gambit, but I doubt that guy is signed to some contract where you can't recast him. This was mostly
I'm going
the
to say it's probably the
main characters.
last X-Men movie. I want to say that it's any characters that was probably in the last X-Men movie.
Maybe in the last, and it was ever depicted as an X-Men or one of their villains characters. But
Mhm.
the little mutants that showed up, that popped up in the movie somewhere, that's not, but they in the X-Men canon are big mutants, like I said. So that's one reason why he said 5 years, at least 5 years, we will not see an X-Men movie. Um, that's why it was so easy for him to put Patrick Stewart in as the cameo, right? Same thing with the Fantastic Four, right? That's still part of Fox. They could do variants of them. That's why they were able to. It wasn't a recast because it was considered like a variant of Reed Richards, right? You know what I mean? Yes, it is a recast, but it wasn't an official recast because whatever. But I mean, but with X-Men, they absorbed that little nugget in the contracts. But anyway, I digress. But anyhow, man, like I get where you're going, Ralph, but that superhero crap is here to stay, man, and it's no one's getting burnt out no time soon because the stories are going to continue to get more and more intriguing, and it's going to be. I mean, let's be honest. Do you want to see the same stuff? No. You want people to. You want people. You want to see new stuff. You want to see new stories. You want to see more. More stuff that still keeps you engaged and keeps you interested. But people have trouble letting go of stuff, right? Which
And
is the whole reason why people are saying blah blah blah. But going forward, they're also another thing. I'm about to spin your head again, Ralph. We've already been introduced to the Young Avengers. The Young Avengers, we've been seeing them. They've been introducing them all along the way.
Kate Bishop,
And right, Kate Bishop is one of them. We've seen Cassie. We're gonna see her in this next movie in action, which is Ant-Man's daughter. Then you got what do you call it? What's his name? Is it Elijah? Elijah. All right, the Black Captain America, the one not
I
Gee,
know you're talking about.
not
I can't remember
Sam.
his name, but I
The
know.
one who was, remember the guy, remember in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you go, you see the guy who was the first Captain America was the black guy.
Yeah.
His grandson,
One was
his
coming.
grandson becomes a part of the Young Avengers because he was born obviously since that guy had the super serum.
He was
This
born.
guy is part of his offspring, his bloodline, so he has the power. You know what I mean? So, um, anyway, if you go through all of the movies we've seen up until now, we've been introduced to most of the people from the Young Avengers,
And to
and that's probably going to be one of the movies too within the Phase 6.
And to piggyback off of what Wes is saying, the other reason why it's going to be non-exhaustive is because now we're coming into we've had superhero movies that have made it to the Oscars and have won Oscars. You had Black Panther winning its Oscars for costume and whatever else it won Oscars for. I think Joker was nominated, if I'm not mistaken, or if not, it was still critically acclaimed. So, and Matt Reeves' Batman was, oh my God, it was what it was. It was just, it was just dope. So as long as we keep getting stories like that, and then you have the Russo brothers, which they've been knocked every Marvel movie that the Russo brothers did, they knocked it out.
Yeah. Speaking of the Russo brothers, Kev, shout out to the people in the chat room. Doris says they need to bring back the Russo brothers. I agree, Doris. They need to bring back the Russo brothers.
Which they probably
shout out to Doris. Shout out to Jazz. Of course, Joseph always holding it down. Jazz is in there, and she's like, "Damn, another one." Yeah, like I said, there's gonna be the people that's like that. You have Richard. He said you can't focus on Marvel only. I don't know. He put that as a question. You can't focus on Marvel.
Like a question. Like
that's a question.
You just can't focus on Marvel only. But that's why I said what I said. As long as we continue to have movies like The Joker, Batman, as long as we have the Russo brothers doing stuff like how they did with Civil War, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, both Endgame and Infinity War. And then you have great movies like Umbrella Academy, TV shows like Umbrella Academy. You have
no, right. There's so many. The Boys. There's so many great comic book. Now that's become a big thing now. That a lot of non-Marvel comic books are getting a lot of play and making a lot of getting a lot of noise. I want to say here, Richard also said, I don't think everyone watches every comic book show and movies. You're right, of course, not everyone does. There's still a lot of people that haven't caught up with a lot of the shows, and but the beauty of it, Richard, is they're there for you, so you can watch them whenever.
But here's the other thing too. I guarantee you, over the last 10 to 15 years, I could guarantee you, I could name movies that are comic book movies that you don't know that are comic book movies that you've watched. Hell, even The Walking Dead started off as an independent comic from Image Comics, which started off from comics going and becoming rogue and independent, but outside of Spawn. The Walking Dead is the second biggest thing to come out of Image Comics outside of Spawn. And look at it now. Spawn almost 4 now because Michonne is getting
shows. Yeah, they getting there. So Michonne's coming back. She's getting her own show.
And she's getting her own show.
Yeah.
So
I'm just putting some of the people's comments up from the chat room, as they're listening in to what we're talking about, because I'm sure they hear Ralph saying what he's saying about the burnout and stuff like that, and you're hearing what we're saying. So you got people with opinions as well that say, hey, I don't watch all the shows either, which is fine because these movies are designed where you don't necessarily have to watch the shows to get up, but if you want the true full understanding of certain things, you may want to watch the show. So for instance, to be honest with you, Yes, you know how many people saw Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness that didn't see WandaVision? But guess what? There's probably some things about that still remains a mystery to them because they didn't see WandaVision.
And
You
they,
know, but
and go back
they were
and
able to say, okay, they used just enough of it.
exactly.
They used just enough of it to say, okay, that's you can get what's going on. So you're not confused to the point, but there are certain things that's going to be a mystery. If you never saw WandaVision, you're gonna wonder. Well, some people may, and some people just may not care, but you may wonder, well, where the hell she get this book? The Darkhold was introduced in WandaVision.
And
So,
also, why is she so hungry to get? Where did the kids come from?
right, where these kids come from? Why is she so hungry to get these kids? Yeah, they explained it in dialogue. Those are not your kids aren't real. They're real in another universe. But why is she? You know, people may wonder why is she doing the things she's doing? Because if you didn't see WandaVision, you're not gonna understand why she's so obsessed and becomes basically the villain of the movie. Yeah, you know, as to why she's so obsessed. So it's a give and take, right? So some people may go back and watch WandaVision to get a little more understanding, and some people may not. But either way, there's going to be enough people for it to survive. I don't think it's going to go down because phase four, I agree with you. If you compare phase four to the other three phases, yeah, phase four could be considered the weakest of all of them. But it
But
still
but it
spawned $2 billion movies. So it's
and
not gonna affect their bottom line. That's
and
what I'm
and,
saying.
and to be honest with you, just coming from yes, I am a super duper comic book and movie fan, but just coming from the fact, even if I wasn't a comic book fan, which I knew nothing about Captain Marvel until about Miss Marvel until I watched the cartoon, the Avengers, what's we call it, Avengers Assemble. Until I
Yeah,
started watching Avengers Assemble, I didn't know anything about Kamala Khan as
yeah,
as from her comic book run. I only know it from the cartoon, and from
right.
what I saw from the cartoon compared to what they did in this movie, I give it 100% thumbs up. As a matter of fact, I think
Mhm.
next to Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, which a lot of people praise and love WandaVision, I think Miss Marvel was the best one out of all the
Mhm.
TV shows so far
Well,
from MCU side.
right.
Now,
So I
we
wanna. I'm
go ahead.
sorry, Kev. I'm still shouting out people in the chat rooms that's leaving putting up some things. So Derek from the chat room says, "Hi guys, I'm new here. Thank you for joining us, Derek. I hope you come back." He says, I think a lot of people that watch comic book movies don't read the comics. I agree with you. Most people, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say most, but a good portion of people
Mhm.
that watch comic book movies, especially now, it may not started out that way, but now, yes, because comic book movies have gone beyond the whole just the comic book stories, right? So it's gained over the years a big fan base, obviously, right? That because there's so many of them now, and let's just even take the MCU alone. There's so many stories and movies there, right? You have enough to build on and build. Really, these movies are kind of made. They have to kind of, let me say this without sounding like a jerk, but they gotta change them up a little bit so it does attract the non-comic book fan because they're not in it just for the comic book fans. We know that, but
And
it's
not
gotta attract the non-comic book fans. You want to attract everyone, and that's what made them so phenomenal, especially in like what Kevin mentioned earlier. When the Russo brothers took over, they made these movies so like cinematic. It was just like it didn't matter if you was a comic book fan or not. These movies are good movies, you know what I mean? So we're watching them, but
and not
we're
they're making these movies now to where you don't even have to read the comic books even more anymore.
mm-mm, No.
It's like
Yeah,
the
and
story.
that's how you're supposed to do it. When you're supposed to make a movie that's self-contained,
Mhm.
that's self-sustained itself. So, like I said, I go back to the basics of it. Of course, and back to Ralph's. I mean, I already answered your question, which was a good question. I mean, yes, people say it's a possibility, but I'm gonna say that I don't think there is a real possibility. If you're just gonna, you have to kind of separate the fans on that question. Is there a possibility that non-comic book fans could get a superhero burnout? There's a possibility, but I don't even think they will, because they're still gonna follow the movies, and they're still gonna, as long as the stories are still good, which I don't see them not being.
And
So,
most of them are,
people are still gonna. At the end of the day, they're still gonna watch them. I
and
mean, Ralph, you're a movie fan anyway, so you know the big movies you're gonna go see. I don't think you're gonna stop. Maybe you may not watch all the shows, but once again, you don't have to watch all of them. I think
Well,
the
yeah. I
shows
mean,
are strictly there for the. I think those are the ones that are there for the comic book fans. I think the shows are really there for the comic book fans.
but they also let's get to
I
what you're
might
gonna
tend to agree with
start
that one.
watching shows,
Yeah.
because and I believe in phase 5 you're gonna have to start watching the shows, because the shows are gonna tie into the movies in that phase. I'm just predicting that that's what's going to happen, because that's the whole purpose.
Doris says.
That's the whole purpose of Disney Plus, is for to be able to bring people into that platform through.
Well, yeah. Doris says, I don't care. I didn't care much for. She said, I didn't care for Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm right there with you, Doris. I've never been a big fan of. I like Taika, as a director. He's a good director, and I was happy with what he did on The Mandalorian and stuff like that. But I particularly am probably of the minority. I don't really particularly love where he took the Thor character. I felt that I felt it's too. I've been saying this, and anyone knows me knows it. I felt there's just too much comedy in it. Too much. Over the top comedy in those films. So I'm right there with you. Although they're still great films with the action and the stuff like that, but I just think it's too much comedy put in there. I didn't like what he did with Ragnarok. I'm on record saying that Ragnarok was a big hit, but I didn't like what he did with it. I'm probably in the minority with that. But she said, I like Doctor Strange the Multiverse, right? A lot of people did like that one too. Really, to be honest with you, it was a lot of comic book fans that didn't like that one because
They
of
were
some of the
angry
things that
because
went
the
down. They
movie.
were the ones that was mad because of the changes that they made for the non-comic book fans. The comic book fans was mad at that because they was like, oh man, that ain't what that it should be like that. They felt like what Wanda did to the Illuminati shouldn't have happened. Like they were like, no, that's crazy. You know, so
But again, they kept forgetting is that wasn't our universe. That was the
right, that wasn't our universe. That was the 8838 universe or whatever.
it was,
Ragnarok was good, but Love and Thunder was over the top.
And see, even with that one, like now you gotta remember, well, it's like multiple universes, and you're like, damn, dude, can I just give me a story? Forget all the universe 1994 and get in universe one. Just give me a story that I can follow, and I don't have to go get an encyclopedia to figure out what the hell is going on.
But with all fairness, Ralph, you say that, but I mean, there's movies like Inception that people to this day can't follow. You know what I'm saying? Or Tenet. You know what I'm saying?
But it was well,
so
I
it
give you
matter. They're
Tenet.
still good movies, right?
So like Tenet is a little confusing. Inception
was confusing too to some people.
Yeah, but still, it's one standalone movie. You're building an entire separate universe.
But dude, did you not go on record? No, let me ask you this, Rob. Did you not go on record and say the best movie of this year was a multiverse movie?
Oh yeah, damn sure it was.
Yeah.
Damn sure it was.
Everything all at once. It ain't a Marvel
movie.
Everywhere, everything everywhere all at once, right?
Yes.
That's still a multiverse story.
But still, it's still but it's still a standalone movie. At
Do
least
you
for
really
right now.
think they're
Now,
not gonna make a sequel to that movie, bro?
But Ralph, even
I don't
if
know.
Ralph, even though that's a standalone movie, you have to look at. See, you're looking at it as a standalone movie. You
There's
have to look
Inception
at.
was hard to follow. That's what Derek
You
said.
have
Go
to.
ahead, bro.
I mean, I pretty much follow Inception and what's it call it with no problem. Especially more so Inception than Tenet. Tenet, it took me 2 watches before I
Yeah,
was
it
like,
take a couple
oh,
watches to get
I understand. I
attended
understand
this.
what's going
Dude,
on.
wait, what the hell is going on?
But,
Yeah.
I was like,
but
huh?
but my point being to you, Ralph, is with the Marvel stories, you have to look at the stories as being linear. It's almost like watching a soap opera or watching a as a matter of fact, it's what 10 years ago, I don't remember who, and I'm not going to put names on it, who argued that the conversion from TV shows to movies could never be possible or it can't work. It's the same thing. It's like you're watching a continuous movie that's broken up into several parts, but now you also have TV shows that are integral into that story carrying on.
Yeah,
So
that's good. Yeah, you're good. I mean, I think at the end of the day, while we get into the faith, but I want to say because a lot of the chat room is chiming in. I thank you for that. Ragnarok was comedy, right? And then they said, she said Ragnarok was a comedy, right? I don't know if it was a comedy. It wasn't supposed to be a comedy. And then Derek says Inception was hard to follow. Let me pose this to the chat to the people in the chat room as well as you're listening to our conversation. Going forward with the MCU, they got new stories to tell, and they're going, because you got to think about it now. The Infinity Saga is over, so that story is done. That's kind of ended with uh Spider-Man. I guess what ended the Infinity Saga? They started talking. Well, they mentioned it in the Multiverse of Madness, but you're not gonna hear about the Infinity Saga much more again. That's it, pretty much.
I don't even agree with that one. I don't even agree with that one.
It wasn't even really that one. They mentioned it, but because all of that stuff takes place after what happened. That was a catastrophic event, right? That was the
blip.
The blip, right? The
that's
blip was a catastrophic event. So my question is, now going forward, do you think you're going to be interested in watching what they got coming next, or do you think you're going to get superhero burnout? They got phase 5 and 6 coming up. Phase 5, we already, we said before, phase 5 was let me bring it up. As a matter of fact, I'll bring the graphic up so people can see exactly what is in store for phase 5. Doesn't mean you know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So phase 5, let's bring this up right now. I'm going to put it on the screen for people to see. Screen share. Phase 5. Okay. Here's phase 5, right? We have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Secret Invasion will be the show. That'll be a TV series. Guardians of the Galaxy is the movie. This is the last Guardians of the Galaxy, pretty much. At least, as far as we know. This James Gunn, the director, already confirmed that this is the end of their story arc, right? At least for now. At least these, for him. You have the show Echo. Now, once again, if you were not following the TV series, you don't know who the hell Echo is. You're like, who the hell is Echo? Well, if you didn't watch the Hawkeye show, you won't know who Echo is, right?
And now
So
you'll have to follow Daredevil, because that's
right.
also Echo's going to tie into Daredevil. So
right, exactly, to Daredevil as well. So then you got the Marvels. We know this is just pretty much serves as Captain Marvel 2, and it's got other characters in it. If you didn't watch Miss Marvel, which is now on Disney Plus, you may be a little confused if you go see the Marvels in the movies. So Loki, if we all know who the character Loki is. If even if you are OG, if you're an OG MCU person, you definitely know who Loki is. He had his own show. Don't know. So Jazz says, "I'ma try." I like that. Okay, Jazz, that's what's up. Doris says, "I can't see how they're going to tie the recent movies together, like the Infinity Saga." Yeah, no, that you just have to wait and see, Doris. We haven't. Remember, we are now entering the multiverse saga, right? The Infinity Saga is done. Now we're in the multiverse saga, which begins the with phase 5, right? 5 and 6 is the multiverse saga. So you got Loki, the Blade movie is in there. Okay. Blade hasn't really popped up in nothing yet. His voice popped up in the Eternals, but that was an after credit scene. Ironheart. Now Ironheart. Perfect example. That's a TV series, right? Ironheart is being introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So for those people who talk about boycotting it,
they don't. I'm sorry. But see that's kind of what like when I'm talking about Phase 5, and this is just for me. Now, yeah, I have seen all the Phase 5 movies as of yet, right? And I'm catching up to TV shows.
What do you mean Phase 4? Because Phase 5,
I'm sorry, Phase 4.
Yeah.
Phase 4, right?
Yeah.
Now, personally, while I have liked all of the movies that have come out, I can't even really count Spider-Man because Spider-Man was more of a fan service than anything for me. It was much more nostalgic. But except for Shang-Chi, all the other movies are just like, it's okay. It's okay. Whereas the other one, I was like, yo, that like you had to go see. Like I felt like
So you thought the Multiverse of Madness was just okay?
I thought it was just okay. I thought it was really more of an ending to WandaVision than another Doctor Strange movie. But I didn't like Eternals at all. I thought Eternals was boring as hell.
Okay.
Right.
That's fine.
Thor was okay. It was just everything. Shang-Chi is the only one that I really loved. I love Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I did love that.
Like I said, except Spider-Man, I felt were just okay. It didn't have the same kind of like, damn, like I felt like I wanted to go back and see it again, kind of thing. Now maybe Phase 5, Guardians, and Quantumania, maybe I'll have that experience again. I say, damn, I gotta go back. And even Black Widow to a degree, I thought it was okay. It was okay.
Right. Well, I mean, now
TV
for you to say that yeah, okay, that's fine. You Phase 4, you're like, okay, yeah, I think they're okay. But so now, granted, the lineup that you see you see the lineup up here for Phase 5, right? So does that not look intriguing for you?
They're always going to look intriguing. I mean, if you look at if we were at the beginning of Phase 4, you look at the line, you say, "Yo, another Thor movie. I got this. That looks intriguing." But it's not like right now. Like I said, the stuff I seen in Phase 4, it just got me sitting there saying, "It's okay. It's good." And it does feel like there's certain things from the other phases, like as I was saying to Shaw Wiley, one thing said, like, there's no real clear leader as to who is leading whatever is left of the Avengers or the characters. Like, who is the outright leader? Whereas the other phases,
they have to reestablish that.
Right.
They had to establish that from the beginning, right? Like,
originally you clearly knew that the leader was Tony Stark, and then you
wait though, Ralph. Was Tony Stark really the leader?
Wrong.
Of the Avengers?
Yeah.
So Captain America wasn't the leader of the Avengers?
Captain America was you could sit there and say he would have been the backup dude to Tony Stark.
No, bro. Captain America is the leader of the Avengers.
Captain America was the leader.
Avengers are simple. That's all you have to know.
Listen, Captain America was really the leader, and Tony Stark was the money behind the Avengers. Let's get it twisted.
Captain America is the leader. That had to be established.
But even with me saying what I said and what you're saying, That's from somebody's perspective. In this particular
Here's
phase,
another perspective. Derek,
there you go.
Derek from the chat room says, "I don't think Stark was the leader."
Now see, I would think. Now see me, I would think that he was, but that's someone's opinion. What I'm saying here, like now in phase 4, you don't have someone. God damn it.
Go ahead.
Never mind.
The only reason why
forget what I'm saying.
The only reason why I'm saying what I'm about to say is
just forget what I'm saying.
The reason why Captain America and why the argument that you're making as to why Tony Stark could be considered as the leader of the X-Men is because of what happened in Civil War, because he became the leader of the Avengers once the Sokovia Accords became active. Once that became active, at that point, he did become the leader of the Avengers. I just wanted to solidify your point. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was trying to solidify your point as to why anybody would think that even though Captain America was the leader of the Avengers, at that point, you're absolutely right. Tony Stark was the leader of the Avengers because he was leading.
He was leading a group of Avengers. But it's never been. But I'm just trying. I can see why you would have an opinion like that, Ralph. But when you just listen to what I'm saying, put it really in perspective. Go all the way back from the beginning and go through that whole phase, that whole saga. All right. Once the Avengers movie came, right, there was no established clear leader in that movie yet because they were all getting to know each other, right? But by the end of the movie, who was calling the shots and everyone was following? You answer that question.
I would say both of them.
No. Why would you say both of them? Who when they were set up to that big shot, that the famous shot of all of them and the spin around and all that stuff, and they were getting ready to go out and fight, who was giving the orders?
Yes, Captain America was given directions, but wasn't Tony Stark giving directions before the Hulk got there? And then once he came in, did that dynamic not change a little bit? But then to further back up, if we just go to movies, from my perspective, why I would probably sit there and say more clearly why I felt Tony
because he helped put them together.
Whose movie came first?
That doesn't matter whose movie came first. His movie came first.
Technically,
go ahead. Finish. Let Ralph.
Never mind.
No, you know what? Never mind. Because technically speaking, in the beginning, the leader of the Avengers, just like up until the point of them coming together at the end of the Avengers movie, was always Nicholas Fury.
Nick Fury is actually the person who started the Avengers, right?
Right.
So
I can agree. I can agree
with that. Right. Okay. Iron Man's movie was first, and we knew that Tony Stark is he is a big part. He is one of the founders of the Avengers. Doesn't make him the leader. It doesn't make him the leader of the team.
I can agree.
And above all of that, Nicholas Fury said to him, "We would love to have Tony Stark. We would love to have Iron Man, but Tony Stark, no."
Right.
But not Tony Stark.
Yeah, right. But
I understand that. But what I'm sitting here saying is simply this: even if you guys feel that Captain America is the leader, and I may sit here and other fans may say, "Well, we think Iron Man's leader." There still was someone who we thought was the clear-cut leader of the group. In this particular phase 4, you don't have that kind of idea of who is the go-to guy
because the story's still being built. That's why
it's still being built, Ralph. We haven't even seen another Avengers movie. The last Avengers movies we've seen was them in it. So now they're built. That's why it's just like any of the other ones. You know, when you were building up all the different movies, you could have watched Iron Man, right, and said like what you said. You think Tony Stark was the clear-cut leader, but then here comes Captain America, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Captain
Maybe I was
America,
wrong.
maybe I was wrong. Captain
Maybe I was wrong.
America could be the leader, right? So it was between those two that most people would know would probably debate, if you want to say, which is why, obviously, and it's always been that way. There's been, the 1 and the 1A, right? It's always been that way with the Avengers. Cap has always led them in the field, of definitely in the field. He's always been the leader because that's what he does. That's where he excels. Tony has always been the money behind them. He's been the backbone as far as that goes. But Tony Stark himself knows he's not a leader like that. He's always been,
and this is the reason why his snap at the end, excuse me,
was so
get emotional talking about this, but this is his snap at the end was so significant.
Right?
Because in the beginning, he was a narcissistic asshole.
Right. And that's what made the snaps, right? That's what made the snap so significant with him doing it. Because remember, I don't know if you remember having these conversations, but one of the biggest conversations before Endgame and Infinity War even happened, the biggest conversations was who's going to die, right? Yeah. Is it going to be Cap? Is it going to be Stark? We knew there'd be one of them, if not both of them. And everyone was saying, who's going to die? Whatever. So the fact that Tony Stark, his thing came all full circle. Like by the time he got to Endgame, his character had made a full circle come around, right? From the beginning. And yes, he definitely was one of the leaders. Because to be honest with you, what they're going to rebuild at the same time with the new version of the Avengers, there's always going to be a 1 and a 2 leader. It's going to be 2 leaders, right? So yes, Stark is one of the leaders. I can't take that away from you, but he's not the clear-cut leader. Just because he's part of the founding members and he put the money behind it, that doesn't make him the clear-cut leader of the team.
Because hell, even during Endgame, he wasn't and he came back and
he left and he left after he couldn't take it no more after that loss, and he went on and did his thing. So I'm gonna say this, Ralph, going forward now to kind of answer what you're saying, what we're being now set up with the phases. All right, so phase 5, you got these movies here, right, and shows. So already we already know which started in the last phase. We had Captain America. There's a new Captain America, right? So we already know that now. There we got Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel actually is one of the OGs. Nick Fury got the idea for the Avengers because of Captain Marvel, right? He got the whole idea of making the Avengers because of Captain Marvel, because of that Captain Marvel and the events that happened in that movie introduced Nick Fury. Made it clear to him that we have other, there's other worlds and other species and other planets, and we're not prepared for it. Exactly. So now, in the second version or team of the Avengers, the second, let's say, phase, for lack of a better word, of the Avengers, there will be two leaders. One was, and just how it always was. One was T'Challa, the Black Panther, and the other was Captain Marvel. Those were the two leaders of the second version of the Avengers that had Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Black Panther. There was some other ones in there. So we still gotta wait. We're just starting over. We can't keep going with the same, we can't keep going with the same things over and over again. We have to be retrained and reintroduced and introduced to new characters. So there's still plenty of time to get. Now they're bringing in Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four. Now they're their own team, of course. But like I said, you're getting a lot of different people now, and I believe at the end of the day, it's still going to be between the Black Panther and Captain Marvel. That's who I think is going to go ahead and be the quote unquote leaders. Because now, when you think about it, look at this phase here in front of us, right? The only people left from the Avengers that probably even could be the leader is, if we go here, we got Falcon, who is now Captain America. He's an OG, he's one of the Avengers from last phase. We can't expect Ant-Man to lead nobody, but the Captain Marvel is there. There's really the only two right now that you can really see that can be the leaders, of the Avengers. Guardians of the Galaxy is not even, this is their last movie, so we don't know how going forward other than
And
maybe Phase
their
6.
lineup is going to change.
Right. Right. Their lineup is going to change as well. So you just my answer to that question, Ralph, is we just gotta wait, man. But so going forward, I can get you saying you may not get into all of the shows, and that's fine. But we're being retrained now. This is a whole new saga. It's not, we've been through three phases that made up one saga, basically, right? Three phases that kind of made up the Infinity Saga. This fourth phase really kind of, the fourth, 3.5 phases made up the Infinity Saga.
And
The fourth,
in half the time.
right? This going forward, phase 5 and 6, some of phase 4, they're all making up this other stuff, this multiverse stuff, because the multiverse of madness started in phase 4, so that's where they so phase 4, 5, and 6 makes sense, right? 1, 2, and 3 was the Infinity Saga. 4, 5, and 6 is gonna be the multiverse saga. So there you have it, man. There you have it. So now, before we get out of here, man, do we have some seating yet, or what? With our
I need to have a little chit chat with you about that one.
Okay, we'll talk after on air.
We'll talk
I
about
mean,
that's an off air thing.
Yeah, it's an off-air conversation. No problem. So, like we said, let me just go through some of the chat room stuff because I'm loving the activity in the chat room. I thank y'all. She said, "I'm still wondering about the new cat." Yeah, well,
Me too.
You're not alone, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Falcon, and I love because he's Cap from the comics too. So I love the comic accuracy. But we also know that there are several type of Captain Americas as well. And the only thing that bothers me about Falcon is, he's his integrity will not let him take the super soldier serum. And if you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the TV series, if you didn't, you should go check it out. But you'll see that he definitely has the heart and the integrity to be Captain America, which is why Steve gave him the shield in the first place. And if you didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I won't spoil it for you, but you'll see him struggle with the fact of does he deserve to have that shield, or is he worthy of it, right?
On top of finding out the past of the shield.
Right. When you find out the past of how Captain America, the fact that a lot of people didn't know, and if they didn't watch the show, they still don't know that, the first actual Captain America that they were experimenting on was black people. And this black man survived. And but at the same time, the government did him dirty, and
they locked him away.
Locked him away, and and things like that. So that whole situation is what she say? I watched the Falcon with the Soldier and I liked it. Okay, yeah, that whole thought of it really puts a whole nother perspective on Captain America, the whole role and behind this like that. It's like, can a black man even ever really be Captain America? You know what I'm saying? How can
No,
a black man be Captain America when America did not was never built? It was built by black people, but it wasn't built for black people.
exactly. And on top of all of that, it that very door opens up so many other doors as to, and it speaks to actual
Isaiah Bradley. Yep. Thank you,
as
Derek. Isaiah
to,
Bradley. Yep.
it opens up to us to actual events that happen from to Tuskegee experiments all the way down to us blacks that are native or Niji to
Mm-hmm.
Turtle Island that were experimented on, and to this day, Native women are basically experimented on, and what do you call that when they're made non-fertile? Because I can't,
Mm-hmm.
that medical phrase is skipping my mind,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's that whole sequencing and Falcon and the Winter Soldier speaks to the larger thing that happened to us as American brown people,
Right.
and people.
Yeah, and Doris, will. She said, "I'm still waiting on another Silk Sonic breakdown." She's a shout out to Heaven Hollywood. You know, me and him did a breakdown for Silk Sonic a while ago. The video
Silk
smoking
Sonic.
out the window. Yeah, smoking out the window, and yeah, we're gonna do some more breakdowns coming to you very soon. Thanks for asking about that, Doris. But yeah, Falcon. So Falcon is, alleged. He's definitely fit to be a leader because he has the elements of a good leader. Now he's not going to be the same type of Captain America that we're used to seeing because he doesn't have the super strength, but he has the will and the integrity of a Steve Rogers. So that's why Steve picked him to succeed him as Captain America. Um, Real quick, I want to say before we go. Speaking of black superheroes, there is I'm working very hard to get either Reginald Hudlin and or oh my God, I can't think of his name right now. Denny damn it, can't think of his name right now. But the creators of Milestone. Now, let's not get it twisted. Reggie Hudlin is not a creator of Milestone Media. He came on later in the second phase of. But there's a documentary. Anyone who's interested in black superheroes, period. There's a documentary on HBO Max. It's about Milestone. It's called Milestone something, Milestone Media, but it's about Milestone Media, and Milestone Comics and Milestone Media was a group of black men, and not just black. It was more people behind it, but
But it
minorities. But it started with Cowan, Dennis Cowan. They it started with him and McDuffie and all of them. They are black men that started a comic book company, something that at the time that it was done was unheard of. And some of the characters that they created still ring true today. Their most popular character that when it that leaked into mainstream, let's call it mainstream comic book cartoon characters is Static Shock, right?
Mhm.
Static was a character that was created from Milestone Comics. It is in the comic books. Static and Icon, they were the two most popular ones, but Static, spilled over to the mainstream. And now, if you watch Static Shock back in the day, or if you watch some of the Justice League movies, you saw, I mean, some of the Justice League Unlimited, you'll see Static. So that character pretty much, became their biggest like Mozart. But anyway, this is a great documentary about the creators of Milestone Media and how phenomenal it was for black men to create a comic book company in the middle in an industry that did not accept them, did not accept black creators.
Exactly. And
They
out
black creators.
out because they did what they did at the same time that Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, and Mark Silvestri, and there was two other
Yeah,
artists did Image Comics. They came
yeah,
out at the same time, but what they did was they instead of just making they made their own comic book characters in their own company. But the difference is, I think that they would have survived longer, and then they still had longevity regardless, because they're still big now, um, but they went the other route than what Image went totally independent and didn't want to have nothing to do with the mainstream media.
right.
Whereas,
They because Image was also, now granted there was a couple of people from this that was getting work from the big companies as well, but Image was just tired of being screwed over by Marvel and DC. They were tired of being, we've all heard the horror stories of how little artists get paid and creators get paid for these characters.
and have
And
no right to their content.
they have no rights to them after the fact. So we talked about that before. So they were just tired of getting screwed over, by Marvel and DC. Of course, they needed the work. That's their work, right? They're working doing what they do. So they did it, but they decided to do their own. But these guys, they were more so just looking at the fact that at the time that they were reading comics, and they were just like, there's no real black superheroes like that. Like, they're like, we're reading comics, and every black superhero has to have the word black in front of it. You know what I mean? And it was just like, that's just crazy. Black Panther, Black Falcon, black, there was always these different black something, right? So they even poked fun at that um in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. Remember when he was walking in the neighborhood, he was like, "Yo, Black Falcon." He's like, "Yo, it's just Falcon, man." He's like, it's just Falcon, because it's poking fun of it because that's a whole nother character, Black Falcon. But still, the fact of the matter that just because he's black, they're gonna put the word black in front of it. So very interesting documentary. It really shows how they went against the grain. And then actually they got back to kind of tie a bow on what Kevin was saying, how Image went completely independent, where Milestone got backed eventually by DC. DC, made them their, a division of them, and gave them their own, platform. So, and fast forward all these years later, because it shows you what they did, and they lost Dwayne McDuffie, and one of the people, one of the main founders died, and then after that, they kind of went out of business for a minute, and then they came back. Now Milestone Media is back full strength. Now Reggie Hudlin, who, for all you don't know, Reginald Hudlin is one of the Hudlin brothers, and they're filmmakers. They made, House Party. They directed a lot of films. Boomerang. Reggie Hudlin directed Boomerang. So. And he is actually the writer of the comic book Black Panther, for the storyline with Shuri that everybody's talking about and thinking that they might implement into this Wakanda Forever movie. So he actually now is part of Milestone Media, and they plan on bringing a lot of these characters. They got 2 animations in development, and they got a live action static, and I think a live action, I want to say, Icon movie that they're developing. So
I know we got to close the show, but I want to say this. This might be the reason why DC, or I should say Warner Brothers, have finally canned that stupid behind idea to making a black Superman. This is the reason why they threw that idea in the can. Like, oh, we have this Icon character over here. Why don't we work with that?
Well, I mean, Icon is basically Black Superman. He's an alien from another planet who's stranded here on Earth, and he has superpowers. He can fly. He has super strength. He's basically Black Superman, but it's the so it's no right. Once again, there are great black characters out there that you could just make movies on. There's no need in taking a white character and making him black or making a black version of him. Just go ahead and make these other characters. So look forward to seeing it. I just wanted to bring that up because it seems to be a lot of people that are interested in the chat room of some of these comic movies and stuff like that. And we're giving you some extra stuff to look into that you might be interested in, especially she said, I think last year people was talking about casting. Yeah, probably casting for what, maybe Static. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Jazz. And then the artists make more make more appearances at Comic-Con events than for playing playing the actual character. Yeah, and then Doris also said she said I think she said, I'm trying to find where she said here she was hosting a Comic-Con event or something like that. Right here she put here. I'm hosting a Comic-Con event August 13th to encourage kids to read. Very cool. Why don't you shout that? Yeah, shout out that. That's very awesome. Shout out that information, Doris. Put it in the chat room. I'll broadcast it. And I'll also put it on our page. We definitely want to encourage kids to read. Come out to this comic event. Yeah, we applaud you on that one. We applaud you on that. Come.
And here's what's so funny about her saying that. I was just about to say to those who are listening in the chat and those who are listening on air, the best thing you could do to really understand all of this is I love Wes's catchphrase: pick up a book. Mm-hmm. So Doris, we thank you for that, and we will definitely shout that from
please. If you, I think she's still in here. If you're still in here, Doris, put the information in the chat room, and I will definitely shout that out there. I know you said it's August 13th, but anybody who's interested in attending this event, send me the information. And also, I'm going to put, if you want to email me the information, and we'll talk about it next week. If you know what I mean, we'll promote it next.
Even bring her on air and talk to her about it.
Even if you want to come, on the show, come on the air, and plug the event. Yeah. We encourage you to do that because that's awesome of you.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing.
Yeah, to do something like that because, even reading comic books, it's still reading, and it's a great thing, man. I encourage anybody to do it.
I want to add one other thing to that, Doris. The other thing you can do is please hurry up and get that information to us, because what I do is I listen to the Breakfast Club every morning, so I won't mind calling up to the station, and if I get on air, just plug your thing. They allow you to plug that on air for free.
Yeah.
So if you can, that's another platform you can put it on. I would not hesitate to shout out your whole platform on that on air on the Breakfast Club. Now it's come to think about it, I'm surprised it never did it for us. I'm gonna have to do it for us as well. But information so we could do that, because that's huge. That is really huge. And
you could email me. I put in there at clockdirector@gmail.com. Hopefully I typed it right. I was typing it kind of fast. Or you can do you can email us there. We're on Facebook. You can send a message. Oh, she said yes for Static. Okay, yeah, Jazz. Yeah, they were talking about casting. That's true for Static. Yes, that's gonna be interesting. They do a Static movie, live action movie. That'd be real cool. I'd like to see that. There's a couple of people I'm thinking that I could see as Static. I wouldn't mind that kid from Stranger Things. I wouldn't mind him being cast as Static. He's a good actor, that young kid. um, what's his name? McLaughlin. His name is something McLaughlin, right? Caleb McLaughlin. This is but we'll once we get closer to the movie, I'll come up with some thoughts that people may want. Who I think might be a nice casting for that. She said she'll send the flyer to your email. Perfect. Thank you, Doris. Send me the flyer and we'll promote it on the show next time. And yeah, I definitely once again applaud you for that. And
Yeah.
we'll definitely plug that for you because that's a big thing. It's very big and it's very cool of you to do that. Our next show will be on August 8th. So she said it's going to be on the 13th, which is that Saturday.
What time?
So we'll have plenty of time. We'll have plenty of time to promote it on the 8th and give people some, do what we can on our end to plug it. Just make sure once you send me the flyer, we'll have all the information and we'll plug it for you. Thank you again for that. And anyway, on that note, we're gonna, wrap the show up. So do you think Ralph will be able to get started next week with, we'll get our seedings going and next week, or do you think next week so ain't gonna be able to do it next week either?
We can do seedings, but we can start doing seedings next week. But I have an idea that I want to run past you first.
Okay, cool. All right, so we can start seedings next week, the 8th. We're looking at possibly the 15th for the show with Diane Franklin and stuff like that. I'm really, really trying to get Reggie Hudlin, man. As you know, a friend of the show, Tony Perez, AJ Perez. He is, he does business with Reggie Hudlin. They friends. So I'm hoping we can try to get Reggie on the show to talk about this stuff because this is gonna be big. It's gonna be a nice thing to get Milestone Media characters out there, and it may even help Warner Brothers a little bit if that's even possible. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining in. The chat room was nice and lit today. I love it. Shout out Jazz. Shout out to Doris, Derek for coming through. Please come through again. Of course, Tanner is always holding us down. These are the best shark movies. Yeah, it's Shark Week, isn't it? Wasn't it Shark Week? And Tanner always lets us know it's Shark Week.
It's a good one too. I've been watching them.
There was good. There was one on for Shark Week. Did y'all see this? The Jackass people, the people from Jackass. The
they dumb. They dumb as hell.
They had Jackass Shark Week. These guys, man. They had one of them actually got attacked by a shark, and then he damn near lost his hand when they was swimming with sharks at one time, and he got attacked. And now it was something about him coming back and trying to overcome his fear, and they doing all these things. I'm like, man, these boys are crazy. But I guess it's entertaining, right? You want to see people do crazy stuff. But shout out to everybody that came to the chat room. Please like. It's before you get out of here on the YouTube page, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button,
and the word
share it with your friends. Please share this with your friends.
It don't cost you nothing.
It doesn't cost
you a mother sucking hater.
No, it don't cost you nothing. Just hit the like button, share it with your friends, share it on your social media, and get people, spread the word, man. We out here doing our thing. We've been doing it for years, and we doing our thing, man. We want to keep bringing this stuff to y'all, and y'all, thank you for sticking with us through this time, and from beginning to end. We really appreciate that. Y'all have a good night. We'll be back next Monday talking some more stuff. We'll be able to start, hopefully, get the beginnings of our tournament going. The hottest woman in TV history. Who will be crowned the hottest woman in TV history? We have a crazy lineup from 5 decades of television and a field of 64 bracket tournament like the old Final Four, like the NCAA bracket tournaments. And we're going to go boom, 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 one by one, like we did some of the other ones we've done in the past. and bring back and see who's number one throughout the. It's going to take a while throughout the weeks. We're also going to bring back the movie verses for all of y'all who maybe was not with us when we were doing that. We would do just in the spirit of verses. We would take two actors and pit them. Take 20 movies from each and pit them against each other and go and see who wins the movie verses. So we had some great ones. We had Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. That was a good one. We did Stallone versus Schwarzenegger. That was a great one. We had some real good ones. Who was it? Brad Pitt. Who was that? Was that Brad Pitt versus Tom Cruise? Who do we do that?
I think it was. I think it was Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I think it was Brad Pitt versus Tom Cruise. We did Angelina Jolie, I think, right? She was versus who was that against Charlize Theron, maybe?
Yep.
I think we did that. Yep. It was good ones. Matter of fact, we'll probably bring some of those back and remind you who won what and all that stuff. And we're gonna start doing some more movie verses. Catch us next time on Real Talk. Y'all have a good night. Peace.